Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, today, what I want to talk about is persistence and why it is important. And I have a subtopic that I want to talk about with this and that is no one is going to give you anything. And that is why it's important to understand persistence. So, to jump right into it, the last 3 to 5 years, if you've been here for a while, you know, has been life-changing for me, especially particularly this year and the last year. Like this time last year, I would have just been literally this time exact last year, I would have been just getting ready to, pack up my trip from Kelowna and come home back here to the East Coast and really go even more all in onto my online coaching business, my mindset and performance coaching business. And it's crazy because, 2 years ago in January, I can't even remember where I was at. It's just mind-blowing. It's just absolutely mind-blowing to see how much growth you can get and how it's truly simple to get this much growth. It's because it comes down to a few select things. Like time is one of them, obviously, goals, visions, all these different things. But persistence is a huge thing. Commitment is a huge thing. And persistence is the biggest thing. And that's why I want to talk about why it's important and have the subcategory of no one is going to give you anything. Because, the biggest thing I've learned the last 3 to 5 years, and me kind of going on a little side tangent of, when I say it's a multiplier effect and the more you see, the faster you get. And I've talked about in my episodes, success loves speed, momentum loves speed, everything loves speed. So as you continue to get success, you just get it a lot faster. And it's because you start to realize the underlying foundations of what brings you certain successes that you're chasing. And persistence is honestly one of the biggest fucking things because persistence and why it's important is because no one's going to give you anything, and it's on one side of the coin, on one side of the table, on one side of the grass, we're always looking for that transactional validation. We're all looking for that one transaction or that one thing that we can do that's going to give us X, give us validation, give us success. And that's just not how any of this works. You can say oh, I graduated university and got my degree, that is a transactional thing and I got it. But there's a lot of time and commitment put into that. You know what I mean? Same thing with any other promotions for masters or, career, advancement, you got to put in time for it. So you're almost looking for the same thing with your mental health, your fitness goals, your boundaries with your relationships. It's oh, if me and my partner have one conversation, then our relationship is saved. If I do this one workout, then I am better. It's all these different things where it's you're looking for that instantaneous validation, right? And it's when you can kind of look through the lenses and really understand that persistence is what gets you that validation over the long period of time. And that's why I'm saying no one is going to give you anything, because it's not about that one workout that is honestly going to change your life. It's about the accumulation of the workout and you being persistent and understanding why it's important to stay committed the long term, right? And I'm not shitting on anyone that got promotions or shitting on anyone that went to school or did anything like that, but it's all about understanding that any goal that you have, persistence is the biggest thing. It's very, very simple to look outside in and be oh, if I want to go to school, it's 4-year degree, get it. Boom. It is that easy, but it's can you be persistent and understand why that's important to go through those? No one's going to do your studying for you. No one's going to come read the textbooks for you. And you got to volunteer a lot of your time. No one's going to come do that for you, right? And the biggest thing too, relating it to mental health, relating it to your fitness goals and things like that. And even people me ask me where I got my life is I just am more persistent than you are. I don't fold as often as other people do. I don't let the day-to-day life of certain anxieties, certain self-limiting beliefs really affect me. I allow myself to push through because I really understand how important it is to be persistent, and I can give you several thousand examples of where persistence even proves to be true. It's bodybuilding, for doing a prep, whether you're doing a show or you're doing a performance-based metric where you got to run a certain amount of kilometers, all these different things. If the one that is the most persistent at showing up and understanding that no one's going to give them anything, they're the one that's going to win 10 times out of 10, because you just got to understand, right? Going back to the validation that's transactional, your whole life, you're going to be looking for that one thing that's going to absolutely change it. Your whole life, if you allow yourself, right? We've been conditioned, especially through society, to really just embody instantaneous, instant gratification, right? We're talking about there's so much science on it nowadays talking about your dopamine, your serotonin, your mental health, get blue light glasses, all these different things of how our mindset's shaped just based on having access to things, right? And where it fucks your mind up. So it's like with these things here and all your goals in 2024, it's really, I really want you to understand like what persistence is. Like, do you want to change your career and absolutely get into a new tax bracket? Do you want to become a business owner? Do you want to, become like a real estate agent? Do you want to start your own business? Do you want to become a lawyer? Do you want to go to doctor school? Do you want to fucking quit what you're doing and go completely left field and do something else? Whatever it is, I can tell you right now, if you can understand that persistence is one of the main motivating factors that's going to keep you through it, because the days that you don't want to do it, you show up and you do it, and you understand that that's all you have to do. And on the other side of that, understand that no one's going to come do that work for you. It's the simple silver lining and understanding that mindset that's going to make your success so much more. So the long-winded rant to kind of bring it all back together is like, people ask me, and I love what I do in terms of just leading by example, giving you guys my experiences and just being like, this is how I did it. Like if anyone that knows me knows that I will give you everything that I have if you can show up straight up. Like if you can show up 100%, I'll give you everything that I possibly can have. I will throw everything I have and I've ever learned at you to help you change your life. If you show up, you commit, and you put effort in every day. And it's crazy because that's why I like to go on a rant about the simplicity of being persistent, understanding why it's important, and understanding no one's going to do anything for you, is because that's the subtle mindset shift that I had. I just showed up every day for 3 years. And then I turned it into a business, and then I showed up every day working on that for 2 years, last year being full time. And now I'm here really making this a lifetime, and it's just like, I just was persistent. I believe every single one of you guys can do exactly what I've done, exactly to a T, maybe even more and better, straight up. And it's because like at the end of the day, I don't have my ego, no, I have my pride. Like I said, I'm here for the experiences and here to give you guys like a piece of what I've been through my experiences. And that's the whole point of this podcast episode and this podcast in general, is to like, if you're willing to persist, you're willing to commit, you're willing to have your clear goal, you're willing to go against the grain and quote unquote have an extreme lifestyle, then it's like, I want you to know that you can do it straight up. It's that easy. And to finish it off too is like understanding, because again, I went on a long rant about persistence and why it's important, but like you really got to understand there's no one in this entire lifetime that's going to come do the work for you. And that's why it's so important to understand everything I'm saying, and then whatever resonates, whatever doesn't, like seriously, like reach out, let's have a conversation about it, because the only thing between you and your goals is literally the two things I'm talking right now. Persistence, being very persistent that you fucking want it. You can't just show up. You got to want it. That's why it's important. Persistent. You got to be like, hey, I'm knocking here. I'm showing up. I want what's mine, But on the other side of that as well, you got to understand that no one is going to come give you anything. You can show up and say, hey, I'm here. That's great. But are you actually putting effort and intention where you're at? Because showing up is going to get you really far. Trust me, it's going to get you very, very far. But then it's just going to lead to a ton of self-disappointment and then a bunch of people not really liking it, because showing up's one thing, but then you got to actually do the work, and that's when you got to realize no one's going to give you anything. Because when you show up every day, you're going to meet other people that show up every day. And then if you're lucky enough, you're going to meet some of those people that show up every day and that actually show you other things you could do because you're putting in a lot of effort, and then that's why you realize no one's going to give you anything. But if you can find someone that'll say like no one's going to give you this, or like give you good guidance, aka like something like this podcast, then you can really realize that like, you can actually do the work. And the main thing I want you to take away from this is like, it's not emotional. It's nothing, it's not attached to you. It's just a simple understanding and a decision that you make actively in those moments where you understand that, and understand that no one is going to give you anything, and understand why it's important to continue to show up, So if you don't know what that is, then obviously that's another podcast for another episode in terms of clarity and your vision and things like that. But I really just hope you guys got some takeaways in terms of why being persistent and why it's important, and just understand no one's going to do anything for you, because literally this simple concept of me talking about this shifted my entire life and allowed me to take ownership over so many different areas of my life. And there's so many other conversations I could get into. That's why this one's a little bit more ranty and kind of rambling, because I really want to just kind of give you my perspective and my beliefs on persistence and why it's important, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. So we have our shell of us as a human. We can all relate to that as a human, whether you believe in any religion or any other experiences or whatever, that's like another conversation. But you know, we all are human, just trying to get better by each day. And I say that multiple times. We all can be persistent, and we can all understand why it's important. So if you can kind of like compartmentalize your life and understand that this is just like an attachment perspective shift, and then, like I said, you can make that active decision in the moment, I can promise you your life will just fucking take so much heights and success, you know, and then you'll really realize what you need to work on. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Let's fucking go. Step to me, I'll never run. You player two, I'm player one.